I am so mad with Psalm 100 episode 7. And not because it's a bad episode, in fact, it's incredibly well written, produced, and it's what you expect from this show. But it's bad enough when you have Akira's boss be as big of a scumbag and just, honestly, predator. Like, he was making disgusting moves on our girl. But then you add in Shizuka's father, who not only is an equally big piece of garbage, arguably worse, because what does this sick scumbag do when his daughter keeps a dog that he said don't keep? A normal person, yeah, maybe gives it away. Yeah, that's cold, that's ruthless, but you know what? It'll find a new family, that's okay. He calls the Humane Society to put it down. People like that get me heated, bro, because it's like, how can you treat a living thing that disposable? And then there's this moment where when he's in the car with her looking at the poor people, they chose this life. Don't be like, and I'm like, I was getting heated watching this, man. And it was intentional. They wanted you to feel as just trapped and isolated and ready to throw hands. And man, was it sweet. At first, yeah, I wasn't really okay saving this fat bastard, but man, seeing him left with nothing, that might have been a better punishment. Now, I do have a full live reaction episode 7 of ZOM 100, a bucket list of the dead available on my Patreon, so if you would like to see that, head on over to my Patreon, consider supporting. This was a great episode, man. I mean, at this point, I think we should just assume that every episode, streaming-wise, is getting delayed till Monday, because, I mean, seriously, ever since the production issues started, that's how it's been. If it got delayed, it then got pushed to the Monday, right? And with just a couple more episodes to go before we have to then wait for the remaining, whenever that's gonna happen, the one thing I will say is I'm very happy that watching an episode like this, and knowing about all the production issues behind the scenes, the episodes still look good. They still look consistent, right? You know, I guess it's better to be a glass half full kind of person right now, as someone who really enjoys this show, thinks it's the freshest zombie media we've seen in a hot minute. But at the same time, it's just, you know, everything about this show, I just wish it wasn't so ironic that, you know, the team responsible having a story about someone escaping a slave workplace is basically making a slave workplace for its show, but I digress. But this episode was all about Akira pretty much getting trapped. We saw it at the end of last week and throughout last week's episode that he very much was going back to his old ways. He was scared. He was feeling like a zombie. And I love how they do this kind of like parallel, this mirror between Shizuka as well as Akira, because for her, it's not like she ever was able to truly escape a similar situation. I mean, the zombie apocalypse kind of set her free, I guess, but she never was able to tell her dad off, as seen by the moment when she pretty much stands up to the boss, because really she's kind of standing up to her own dad in that moment, right? But the idea that, I love what they do, it's not an immediate shift, but it's like, it's not just simply this man ruling with an iron fist, that's mostly what he does, but he's smart enough to know that if he needs to truly manipulate people like Akira for life, you have to give him a carrot on a stick. Yeah, he's beating him down emotionally and physically, and he's just so close to snapping, but then he's like, buddy, I'm here for you. I respect you. I'm a little hard on you, I know, but I'm just trying for your sake. And it's like, oh, I have to hand it to you. That's a good way to manipulate. You can't deny that, but screw you, bro. Like, he's so good at that. And the idea that he almost gets into a trance, the dizzy eyes, they don't go comedic with it. It's like he's truly just, he's broken, he's indoctrinated, there's nothing that he can do. And I love how it's our girl just throwing it in his face that, like, the only reason I'm even able to say this, to start standing up, is because of you, dumbass. Like, snap out of this. And I like how they kind of hit a nice, sweet middle ground for whatever your opinion that should have happened to this fat bastard. He doesn't even deserve a name. Fat bastard is what we'll call him. Or Discount Negan from Walking Dead. Either one works. But the idea that I was hoping he would die. I thought what was gonna happen, because basically the loaders, they have a zombie on the truck without realizing. I thought he was gonna storm off being like, oh, did you get me my beer? He'd open it up and then he'd get attacked. And I'd be like, haha, that's a shame. All right, let's hit the road. I was hoping for that, but instead the workers start getting attacked and everything starts freaking out, right? But what they did a good job with is, I do think the punishment he got was very, very rewarding, because maybe you want to make the argument death would have been too easy for him. Maybe you want to make the argument that he didn't deserve something that harsh of a punishment. Whatever people's opinions are, at the end of the day, he did get what he deserved one way or another, and that was the collective community leaving him with nothing. It's not even just like they left and he's full of supplies. one of the people when they're leaving is literally like, I found these supplies, I'm taking them. And I'm like, that's right, bro. Leave him in the empty ass courtyard with burning zombie flesh and say peace, mofo. That just felt so good. And I love how when Akira is pretty much quitting and saying, you know, I don't care. He's like, you know what? If I can't pay you back, that sucks, bro, but I'm dipping now. And I'm like, this is what you want to see. And for a show that's all about, you know, when the zombie apocalypse hit, he was finally free. He was finally living. And then he was getting roped back into being like a corporate slave. But this really does feel like the proper send-off for him, and while there's still going to be hardships for him, he'll probably discover family members have died at some point in the story, right? I mean, next episode probably not going to be as intense as the past couple, as it's literally hot springs of the dead, and I swear to God, if they show us zombies in the hot springs, oh man, I might just die on the spot, because it would be too funny if not too gross with their flesh probably peeling, but damn. They're gonna have fun with episode 8 for sure. Like, this episode legitimately pissed me off. Like, that's not clickbait. I was like, my heart was pounded. I was getting heated while watching this episode. But I like what they're able to accomplish, because I think had you gone anything less of just pure screw the boss, screw her father, screw anyone with this type of mindset, you would have just been like, oh, Akira, like, yeah, man, like, why are you doing this? But you can understand how someone who was treated so poorly on both sides here, both for our girl or our boy, like, they went through so much BS. And the idea of Akira taking that kick to stop getting his notebook from, like, being trampled on, you know, I think without that anger building up throughout this episode and the resentment from last episode, we would just look at a moment like that being like, bro, it's just a book, just leave, like, you don't have to worry. But it's like, no, for him, that's his first moment of standing up, and just seeing how, like, you know, he's the type of person who's not going to leave someone fending for themselves in the zombie apocalypse, but he's also not someone to bring him along when he decides to dip with everyone else, right? Like, you get the cards you were dealt, and because you were such a shitty piece of garbage who at multiple points were abusing people emotionally and probably physically as well. I mean, even if not physically, he was intimidating them with a bat. Like, there was intent to abuse even if he physically didn't do so, right? And man, this was one hell of an episode. Definitely one of the most memorable. I think combined with last week, this arc was just so good at getting under your skin, making you feel both sides, whether with the father or the boss storyline, and being like, man, imagine growing up with that, imagine working with that, and imagine being emotionally abused and manipulated into staying with that. But the freedom and just them hitting the road after the BS and the setback that they dealt with was so rewarding, and this truly was once again worth the wait. And I think ZOM 100 will continue to be worth the wait. No matter how many delays happen, it's just a shame so many are going to forget about it, because when you go to check your queue on Crunchyroll or wherever you watch this and you don't see the new episode, you're just going to assume, well, I guess it's over. A lot of people are like that, right? Because they're not going to keep up with anime the same way maybe you or I will. And it's a shame that so many might forget about this, because it's on a roll right now. Now, of course, those are my feelings. Let me know what you thought of episode 7 of ZOM 100 down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new around here. Of course, ring that bell so you get notified when I upload more videos to the channel. And like I mentioned, we do have a full live reaction to today's episode available on my Patreon. And hey, while you're there, you'll also get a video shout out. So today we have Brandon Logren, Brett Itzka, Bryce DeZangles, Buggy Ninja, Callum Brailsford, and Kelvin Atkinson. So I appreciate the support, everyone. Please take care and have a good one.